to advise any students coming out of college who are going to go into a classroom, I would first say thank you and then just offer them this guidance to always trust that the process, even when it doesn't look like it's going to work, the process will work. You just have to engage in what it is you are committing to do. And don't be afraid to reach out for the support that you need, because I think that so many of our young educators fall by the wayside because they don't get the support that they need or that they want or that they feel they deserve, and they do. They don't know what to ask for, and they don't know how to ask for certain things because this is brand spanking new for them. So I would encourage that new college graduate to find a school that you are just the right fit for. Build relationships with your team, with your administrators, and rely on those people to help you get through those pivotal points that can become discouraging because you are kind of unsure of what the next thing needs to be. But just to hang in there and trust that the process works if you really engage in and with that process.
And just to add to what Dr. Taylor said, I definitely commend any new teacher for following your passion and coming into a wonderful profession. And we welcome all educators. The advice that I would give, or the guidance, would definitely be to make sure that you're not afraid to speak up and make sure that you're not afraid for your voice to be heard. A lot of times it's really easy to sit in meetings or sit with veteran teachers or educators and feel like they've been doing this forever. They have all of the answers. And a lot of times we do have a lot of the answers, but what we don't have are that fresh set of eyes or that new innovation. And a lot of new teachers have so many new things to offer that we're not even familiar with, but sometimes they are afraid to speak up because they feel like, oh, well, I haven't been doing this long enough, or they don't feel validated. So don't be afraid to speak up. Share your ideas. We need them. We have been doing things for a very long time in education, and we know a lot of the nuances, but your ideas may be something that could solve new problems that we're experiencing, or even old problems. So your voice is just as valuable as anyone else's that's been there for a long time. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts and ideas.
I think that's so powerful because you can bring that new energy that might be just what the school needs to get to that next level.
Great Saturday, everyone. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheka. Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to the Real.
Yes, welcome to the Real Academy. Principal Hurt, good morning. He is always on fire. He dropped so many gems this morning for all school leaders that were tuning in. So I hope that you all were taking notes, and we'll be adding on to some of those tips as well. So good morning, Principal Hurt. Thank you for those insights. Melissa Jones Chunu, good morning. And we have Miss September Vance Daniels with us. Good morning. Miss Arcella Austri is with us. Good morning. Principal Dot McKeever Jeter, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
And also Principal Davis out of Las Vegas, good morning. And Principal Kafele that calls us the two doctors. Good morning, Principal Kafele. And we are looking forward to your session right after us. So we are a part of the Fantastic Four. If you're not, my connection is bad. Oh, goodness. Okay. We're going to try to fix it. So, Tammy, you do the intro.
Yes, thank you guys again. I apologize. It doesn't look bad from where we are, but thank you all very, very much for joining us this morning. As you know, you are with us as our Saturday morning Real Academy, and Sheka was sharing that we are a part of the Fantastic Four. As she shared, Principal Hurt was on earlier. Thank you so much, Principal Hurt, for all the wisdom. And I love, love, love when you talk about not being able to do it by yourself. We have to enlist the assistance of others, especially those leadership teams that you talked about us forming. So thank you so much for always being the encourager who gets us going on Saturday mornings and for dropping so many jewels. Then, of course, we're on now at 10:30, and following us is Principal Kafele with the virtual AP Academy. And then on Sunday, you have Josh, Tovar, and Dean with Unlock the Middle. So we are excited to be a part of the Fantastic Four. And Shika and I are coming to you from the Real Academy. And that real framework is something that we developed when we found ourselves in state sanctioned school improvement to help us to navigate that process. And that real framework is something that we continue to use at our schools to move our schools not just out of school improvement, but to navigate the school improvement process as Principal Hurt talked about this morning. That is a continuous cycle, and that's something that we continue to use in order for us to keep our schools moving forward. Shika moved on, and now we're, of course, in a space where my school continues to move forward, and we are using that framework because we know that it works. That's something that we are very passionate about. The framework is our acronym is up top, and that R stands for respect, the E stands for excellence, the A is accountability, that first L is for literacy, because we believe that foundationally everything that we do ties back to literacy and to being literate also in math. And that brings us to numeracy, of course. And then finally, leadership, because that is who we are. We are problem solving leaders that come to you every Saturday as a part of that Fantastic Four to give you the support you need, as Principal Hurt talked about this morning, to move your schools forward, move the academic needle, but also move to that next level of excellence that you have.
Most definitely. And I hope this is better. Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Um, as Principal Kafele always tells us, we signed up for leadership. And as Tammy just stated, that's who we are as leaders. Sometimes I probably don't know when to turn it off, because yesterday in the bank, I'm waiting behind a gentleman who was waiting before me, and there was only one person. She was helping people at the drive-through window. So, of course, we know in our new after COVID setting, sometimes there's only one person that shows up to work. So I was happy the lady was there. I was going to be patient and wait. And so she waited on her person at the window, and the man was still waiting, saying he wanted to have a transaction done, and nobody ever came. So then I said, well, I looked around. There was a one lady sitting in the office, another lady sitting in the office beside her, somebody sitting in the office at the back. I said, well, do we need to go to our vehicles to be served and drive through the drive-through? Is that what we should do? So sometimes that leadership hat don't come off for me. But we did get waited on after that. So today we're going to be talking about you can't restore until you refresh. So a lot of right now in our school cultures, restorative practices is something that everyone is talking about from the top. Um, some states, I know in our state, it has become more of a um, thing where they are looking at behavior and also the number of incidents that every school has is based on put on your school report card now. So leadership districts have been more cognizant of, well, we need to do better with our expulsions, our suspension rates. And what we want to talk about this morning is that we do need to do something with those practices. But the answer to restoring is not just saying we're going to not have students um, receive what they need to receive or what's required to be received for incidents without looking at, do we have the right systems in place to serve students? So the world has changed, the children has changed, people have changed, but a lot of our systems in education have remained the same. So if you are at a district and you're at the district level and you're responsible, or school board level, you're responsible for setting up the systems that need to be in place. One of the things that you have to do first is you have to analyze your data. And this has to be done at the top because you're responsible for making sure you have the right things in place. For example, if you have an alternative setting for students and you don't necessarily have to refer to it as an alternative school because we know that that has negative connotations to it, but do you have a setting for students who may be non-traditional that you can definitely make something positive out of that? And if you don't, then you're probably not going to best serve your student population. So we don't want people to just have restorative practices in the mindset of, we're not going to suspend children, we're not going to expel children. It's up to the leaders to figure out what's going to happen with these children. We're not going to provide any other support, any extra personnel, any other systems outside of the traditional system that we have. And then from the administrative standpoint, we're just going to send them back to the class and tell the teachers to restore the children. That is not the answer to what we need to have going on.
We have to take the time to build the structures around what the needs of the community and the students that we're serving look like. And that's the beauty of the work that Principal James Presley does. And that's why I really love when we hear from him. He was on with Principal Kafele a couple weeks ago, and that work that he does around maybe creating a different setting for the students based on what that child needs is, I think, what becomes so impactful that it restores the child in the process as you are meeting those individual needs. And I think she could, like you said, if it's just something that's generic and it's just, this is what we do and this is the way that we've done it and this is how we're going to keep doing it, instead of really looking to create those structures that and putting protocols in place that support the work that we really want to do, it kind of seems all for naught.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, we in education, we jump on these bandwagons. Oh, we need SEL. Oh, we need restorative practices. And we do need those things. But if you have not analyzed the data to determine how to put those things in place the best, then all you are doing is buying some things that people are not going to believe in. The teachers are going to look at it as, oh, here we go, one more thing to do. You have not given a rationale as to why. You haven't shown anyone any data about this is what we need, where we need to start, because the whole thing is a process. You don't just start off saying, oh, this is what we're going to do. So we have some suggestions for you, especially starting at the district level. And we believe in restorative practices. This is some of the work that we do. Restorative practices do help to reduce suspensions when they're put in effectively. starting from the top, like we talked about. They do reduce expulsions and they reduce the loss of instructional time with students. But again, those structures have to be in place. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, looking at your data, start with your attendance data. If your attendance percentages are, you have a lot of absences, most of the time attendance is directly associated with your culture. So if you are not doing anything, if you're not examining your culture, then throwing in an SEL program is not going to help improve what really needs to happen. And if it does superficially improve some things, it's not going to stick. So making sure that you're analyzing your culture, well, why don't the children see a value in what we're doing? Do we need to look at the level of instruction that's happening? And then if you are at the district level, if you're responsible for making these decisions and you have not visited a classroom lately, please get out. Please get out and visit a classroom and see what is happening in the classrooms. And when I say get out, I don't mean for 2 to 3 minutes in each class. You need to sit there for a minute and see how that entire class flows so you can actually see what is happening, why students don't want to be here. Because as an administrator, that was one thing that I saw, oh, this is where we need some improvements and some more trainings. When I'm sitting in the classroom and can see what is actually happening with instruction, now I know how to guide it.
I think too, and that is critical because instruction is the base for everything that we want to happen in the school, because what our ultimate goal is at every school is to move our kids forward. But in the process of educating them through the academics comes what we're kind of referencing this morning. In order to get to that space, there's a whole level of culture that you have to climb through or navigate in order to get to the classroom so that you are able to teach them what they need to know. And those things that are part of that culture are the things that help to make them good people.
Mm-hmm.
Not just smart people, but good people who can make good decisions. And a lot of that, again, as Sheka said, can be seen as you are in and out of our school communities. And when you are in the school, before you even get to a classroom, you can sometimes tell how things are going based on what you see happening in the front office, based
That is
on what
very
you
true.
see happening in the hallways, based on what you hear as you're heading down the hallways. Does this sound like positive chatter, or is everybody hostile and on edge because nobody wants to be here? And that's staff included.
Right. And then when you're looking at attendance, sometimes it's not just, you can look at it from the school level, but I used to look at it by the classroom level too, because that's how you can tell, okay, here are the classes where everybody going to this class. So let me go see what's happening over here. And you would see a different level of engagement. And those were the classes. A lot of times I would make my model classrooms for teachers to go visit, and you collaborate with this teacher to see what maybe you can hone from that experience and see how it differs from your classroom experience for students. So attendance are usually, a lot of times it deals with culture, and you have to examine what is happening with your culture. Behavior, a lot of times still goes back to that culture and that engagement of the classroom. What is happening? Why are students constantly acting out? Is it because of engagement, or is it because they have extensive needs that are not able to be met in the classroom? But if you don't dive down and look at that data by student, then you're going to miss some things, because if you're just looking at some numbers, you won't know if this student has in their permanent record where they have had experiences of severe trauma that a classroom teacher sometimes is not even trained to deal with that. So looking at the data is essential. Going out and buying programs and hiring people before you look at your data, a lot of times you're going to be wasting your time.
And the thing that I love about what you were talking about, when we have those model classrooms where it's happening the way that we want it to happen, what we want to see in those spaces are replications. Like this is who I'm going to bring in for my next PD on engagement. Like,
Mhm.
here's some tips and strategies for what engagement looks like in my class. Or if this is a class where there is a mutual respect and everybody enjoys being in that space, that's a teacher who I'll make sure that I call upon when it's time to do some work on classroom management. Like, what does this need to look like, and pulling in those resources, as Principal Hurt said this morning, from wherever you need them, because the work cannot be done just at our level. And a lot of what Sheka has shared, again, is above the school level, because many times the programs that get pushed down, or the systems that are created, are not necessarily school level decisions. And so you kind of have to go with the flow. So when you're making those decisions that are especially coming from the top and flowing down, you have to make sure you're considering every aspect of what you are making a decision about. Because Sheka and I may work in similar contexts, but it isn't the same. Like,
Mhm.
my needs might not exactly mirror, they won't mirror hers. So there has to be some level of flexibility to meet individual needs of schools, so that individual needs of students can be met.
Definitely. And we have about 2 more minutes. The last thing that you need to examine is that academic data. So we had attendance, behavior. Academic data is the next thing. And usually your academic data is going to be impacted by your attendance and behavior data. So if I'm not coming to school, if I'm out of class constantly because I am being, disciplined for certain things and I'm out of the classroom, then I cannot learn. So this is going to impact your academics. So these three things are essential to be able to really understand what is happening with those things in order to make sure you know how to guide your academic instruction. And this goes right back to what Principal Hurt was talking about, is that instructional leader. If you don't know how to put those things together and examine them and know how they fit together, then you're going to be on a hamster wheel wondering why nothing that you're doing is working, because you have not looked at the right things and figured out the right strategies for those things to be able to work.
And when you do get that synergy going, it is guaranteed success, because now that you have all systems in place, you know that the instruction in the classroom is high quality. You're talking about top tier teaching,
Mhm.
and you are engaging your kids in the process, and they want to be there to learn. Now you have set the scene for a productive and very effective, efficient way to run your school, so that all systems are go. And that's when we can celebrate, like we did this week. We actually
That's
had a
right. Your
celebration this week.
exit status party. That was excellent. So we are out of time. If you need help with this type of work, examining that data, this is what we do. We can help you delve down into that and figure out what in your culture is hindering you from moving forward and changing that academic needle. So you can reach out to us through our Facebook page or through our website. And we would love to be able to work with your school as we are working with several others. Yes, congratulations to Great Falls Elementary.
Thank y'all. The congratulations to that staff, Melissa. They really did the work, and we had a great time celebrating. Thanks
Yes,
to
thank you. And
all of
please,
that hard work.
Thank you. Yes, please join us on Principal Kafele's page next, and
Yes.
then on Sunday with Josh and Dean from Unlock the Middle. Thank you all.
Yes, guys. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you.